As we live in an age where the Me Too movement is front and center, Supreme Court nominees are being accused of sexual assault, and leading officials in the government have made sexual comments, we are all aware of how the world feels about women today. No longer can we hide from their experiences, from their pain, or from their stories. We don't just get to sit by. Now, some of you may have heard questions or asked them yourselves, like, why are women speaking up now? Why didn't they say something sooner? Well, women have been experiencing these things since time began. But today we can thank the media for keeping us informed on the lives and the hearts of women all around us. Today we don't just get to use the excuse, I didn't know that was a problem. It's a problem. I hope today you walk away realizing that there's a problem about the culture of women in our society and in our church. We live in a male-dominated society, and that might make some of you a little uncomfortable in the room, but it's true. They run this country by majority and control the leadership platform in the church. Out of 100 people in the Senate, only 23 of those are women. And out of 435 in the House of Representatives, only 84 of those are women. And that's about 19%, which is really, really low. This is an issue. Women don't just get handed leadership positions. They have to fight for every single one. We don't just get respect, we actually have to earn it. And don't even get me started on women of color because we just don't have enough time today. Men have controlled the minds of law, society, religion, and culture. Now, not all men have done a bad job, but this has left almost no room for women in the church, for women to be heard and to be valued. Now, I've experienced my fair share of degrading comments where men call after me like I'm an object or a toy that they can buy or have. And I've experienced comments that we as women are all too familiar with, things like, you're not good enough, you can't do that because you're a girl. Or, you're too emotional, so you probably can't handle this job. And for some of you, far, far worse, and for that, I'm sorry. I'm not here to point blame, but I think that there might be some of you that may have even taken part in saying something to make a woman feel inferior. Today I want to change the conversation. I want to simply encourage us to stop telling women that they can't and start telling women that they can. I've heard so many stories where women have been told that they asked for it when they were sexually assaulted. Or maybe in the church, women have been asked to leave because of what they were wearing. Or maybe you had a childhood like mine where you were always told to dress very, very modest because you were not allowed to make the boys stumble in the church. And that just starts to make you feel like everything is your responsibility. As a woman, it's all your fault. It's all on you for somebody else's problem. Now, I know men are taught in the church to fight every sexual desire that they have for a girl, and I understand that. But I would urge you, as you fight that, also try to see their minds and their abilities as well. Because each part of us is slowly silenced. And these problems show true today. I get to co-lead a small group of high school girls, and we decided to go through a study called Women in the Old Testament. And one of the girls said, I never knew that there were this many women in the Bible. And that really hit me hard. We're still not sharing about the women in the Bible from the pulpit. In 2018, people aren't talking about the women in the Bible and how they played a vital role in the gospel. How is it that they're still seen as invaluable parts? I believe we're all here today because we want to change culture, and we know that there are problems in the world. And there are problems in the church as well. There is something wrong with churches that still believe women had no vital role in the Bible. The very first person to see Jesus rise from the grave was a woman. Actually, it was a group of women. The first person. And about at that time, we know women were nothing. They did not mean anything. Jesus was teaching us something then. He was telling us that women were to be valued and to be trusted. So why is it that we still don't do that today? Why is it that we don't value and trust women today? Well, we're never going to be a church that Jesus intended until we get to a place where we stop restricting people from living, sharing, and pursuing the gospel. And right now, women are restricted. We shouldn't have to ask for permission. Jesus gave us permission on the cross. All while the world was saying that she can't, Jesus was saying that she can every single time. All while the church is saying that she can't, the cross is saying that she can every single time. So when are we going to embrace that truth? Women are so much more than you're telling them. And men aren't just the problem. We are all the problem. My dad always told my sister and I we could do anything we put our minds to. If we wanted to play with the boys, he said play with the boys. He never told us that we couldn't. And of course I have to give my mom a lot of credit too, because she's the first person to fight and empower the women in her community. Tolerating isn't enough anymore. Well, it's never really been enough. We have to empower people. Being okay with someone's existence is not enough. That's not what the church is called to do. We are to empower people to get behind them and fight for every single one of them, and we're not doing that. We need to fight for the women in the church. Can you imagine if we changed the culture in the church, how we could change the culture in the world, how we can change how the world sees women as so much more, as exactly how Jesus saw each one of us. And yes, this takes intentionality, this takes a lot of practice, and of course this takes Jesus. I hope today that everyone in here walks away with an urge to hear women and empathize with their experiences, because our experiences are true, and we simply want people to empower us. So, what if we all became feminists? Now, I know that word probably doesn't have a great meaning to a lot of you, and you probably are rolling your eyes or laughing a little because it has a bad connotation today. And I understand that, I really do. But at the very core of what a feminist is to advocate and fight for the rights of women. And I believe as a church, we're already doing this a little bit. If we can fight for the women in Bangkok, Thailand, then we can fight for the women in our communities. If we can fight for the women that are being mutilated in Africa, then we can fight for the women in our church. We're doing it today, but it just isn't there yet. We have to choose to be people that fight for women and the society, against the society and sin that has been set in place for us. So as one body of believers, let's stand behind women and give them a platform to be heard. Thank you.